everybody, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. I'm Will Richardson, and I must say, you're looking well. In the next series of programs, we'll be going well off the beaten path. We'll be heading north to the province of Kujawsko-Pomorania. There, we'll be following the medieval route of the Drwęca River. The Drwęca River arises near Ostroda and flows west to Toruń, where it joins the Vistula. We start our journey in Nowe Miasto Lubawskie, which is on the extreme western end of Warmia. The Drwęca is picturesque and meandering in this particular region. As it flows west, it becomes wider until it reaches Brodnica, the site of a massive Teutonic castle, now mostly in ruins, except for the 54-meter-tall tower. Before we get to Golub, we stop for the night at a country house in the middle of the forest. Then we visit with my friend Ivona at the Enter-Paris animal shelter, which is also located deep in the forest. From there, it's a 10-kilometer drive to Golub. Golub's picturesque old town and various remnants of Teutonic times are eye-catching. We'll show you some of those sites. This particular journey ends at the Golub Castle, perched on a hill overlooking the Drwęca River. Quite an impressive location. I'm sure you'll agree. So there you are, the Drwęca River and its environment. I think you'll agree it's a trip well worth taking. If you like history and getting lost in the countryside and seeing how the real people live in Poland outside the big cities, well, this could well be your destination. This is Poland Daily Travel. I'm Will Richardson. Thanks for watching and hang in there. Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Poland Daily Travel. We're here in Nowe Miasto Lubawskie, and this sign is very interesting. Oh, that's the Drwęca River. And this sign is very interesting because it says to kayak people, hey, you're in, jesteś w Nowym Mieście Lubawskim. You're in Nowe Miasto Lubawskie. 400 meters from a place to leave your kayaks, and you're most welcome. So here's the river. It starts near Ostroda. There's an elevation of about 200 meters. And flows from that elevation towards the Vistula River this way, and the city of Toruń, that great Gothic city, birthplace of Copernicus, where Poland Daily has been before. We shot quite a few episodes there last summer. It's 2019. You can just imagine getting on your kayak. It's a beautiful day for it, and I really wish we had time for it. It would be fun to do. From here, we're going to follow the river towards Toruń. We're not going to go all the way to Toruń, and we're not going to Ostroda either. We've been to both of those places before, but we're covering the area in between, not in its entirety, but the main cities, as you'll see. And the next city up is Brodnica. So, previous episode we saw the Brodnica gate, and the next thing we will see is a gate not far from the square in Brodnica. And then we'll look at this extraordinary square in Brodnica, which is, well, let's just see it when we get there. It's not actually a square, which makes it unique. Stay tuned after the bumper. We'll see you in Brodnica. Meanwhile, I think I'll just enjoy the view. Okay, from the Drweca to Brodnica. It almost rhymes, but not quite. The river's just over that direction, but behind me, you see something that bears mentioning and talking about, which is obviously why we did the shot here. This is one of the finest gates from the Teutonic times. It's was started in probably the early 1300s and finished off sometime in the next 50 years. This third story was added right at the end, and there were several of these gates, I think 3 or 4, just as there were in the last place we visited in Lubawskie. It's an extraordinary thing that it's still here after all this time. And in fact, it's almost a little castle on its own. The early history of Brodnica is curious. It was first mentioned by a German author, a German writer, what you call him, an historian perhaps, Peter of Duisburg, who talks about a couple of battles that happened here about 100 years before or so. Before the settlement was begun in earnest, and even the Lithuanians attacked. So Lithuania is not that close to this particular part of the world. It just gives you some idea that there was always a lot of strife, therefore the need to build these kind of towers. There's one thing the Teutonic Knights were good at. Noisy moped. It was building these kind of structures. And you see them throughout this part of the world. The castle at Malberg, for example, still remains one of the great examples of castle architecture in the entire world. Not just in Europe, but in the entire world. And one day, in the not too distant future, we're going to go there and do an extensive series on Malberg, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So this is a prime example of Teutonic architecture. And as you're going to see, there's a lot more of this kind of older medieval architecture on show here in Brodnica than there was in Lubawskie. And you're going to see, again, some nice stuff in Golub. Okay. At any rate, this now houses a gallery, and it's also the tourist information center, but it's not very extensive. I've been there before, and actually the lady working there didn't speak English, so it's not, she was shy, in other words. Anyway, you can see it still in use as the lady on the bicycle, walking her bicycle, goes through. So this is Brodnica. Welcome to Brodnica. I really like this town. I think it's a very, I don't want to use the word quaint because it's a living town, but it's really off the beaten path. I mean, Toruń is about 80 kilometers away, which in its own way is rather provincial, a provincial town. Nothing wrong with that. It makes it a big contrast from the cities. That's the point. And this too is just a small regional city, about 30,000 people, but a lot of fun to wander around. So stay with us. We're in Brodnica. I'm Will Richardson. This is Poland Daily Travel. Hang in there.